For this video, we are going to go over how to solve linear inequalities. Linear inequalities are very similar to equations, except they have the inequality symbol instead of an equal sign. So there are a few differences between solving equations and inequalities, so we're going to go through that right now. What we want to do is solve, graph the solution set on a number line, and write the solution set in interval notation. So each of the problems will have 3 answers to them. So let's start with the first inequality. We have the is less than or equal to symbol. And so we're going to use the distributive property twice. Next, very similar to equations, we want to have everything with an x on one side, everything that is just a number on the other side. So I will subtract 12x from both sides, and also I'm going to add 12 to the other side. So we have 15x minus 12x is less than or equal to negative 8 plus 12. So again, subtract 12x from both sides, add 12. And then once we do that, we combine our like terms. So that's going to give us 3x is less than or equal to 4. And then from here, we divide both sides by 3. And this is solved. From here, we would like to graph our solution on a number line. And all you need to do is just put this number on the number line. We can have a fraction, we could have an integer. Whatever that number is goes on the number line, and then we look at this carefully. This says that x is less than or equal to 4 over 3. So all the numbers that are less than 4/3 would be to the left, so we have to shade to the left. We also need to look at the part that says x is equal. So if x is equal to 4 over 3, then we use a bracket. If there was no equal sign, if it was just less is less than, we would use a parenthesis. This is our second answer. And interval notation basically follows from what we did over here. This is negative infinity, so we have a parenthesis, negative infinity, comma, 4/3, use a bracket. Anytime we have negative infinity or positive infinity, we always use a parenthesis. So these 3 answers are just different ways to write your solution. Let's take a look at the second example. We have to use the distributive property again, so let's go ahead and do that. We combine our like terms on each side. And then I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So add 2x and then subtract 8. Combine like terms. Okay, so this right here has one more step. What we want to do is divide both sides by -3. And this is where you have to be careful because this is the step that is different from solving equations. When you have an inequality, if we divide both sides by a negative number, or if I were to multiply both sides by a negative number, we have to change the direction of the inequality. And since we are dividing by a negative number, then we're going to write x, have to change the direction of the inequality, and so this is now my solution. And we need to graph this on a number line, 3. This tells me that x is greater than 3. Anything bigger than 3 has to be on the right. Those are all the numbers that are larger. We have to shade. All of these numbers are solutions. And since there is no equal, then 3 is not included in our answer, so we have to use a parenthesis. Our interval notation follows from the number line. It's going to be 3, positive infinity. When you write interval notation, make sure that the order is correct. It's always smaller to larger, has to be in that order. Our third example. So this one we have fractions, but we already know how to work with fractions. One way would be to get rid of the fractions, and as we saw in the previous video, in order to eliminate fractions, we have to find the common denominator between 3 and 2, and that would be 6, and you multiply both sides of the inequality by 6. Make sure you understand that you have to multiply by the same number on both sides. So what we are going to do is just reduce. 6 times 1/3 gives me 2. The parentheses don't change. You recopy those. 6 times 1/2 is just 3. So this looks a little easier because we don't have fractions. You can keep the fractions and you can solve it using fractions. You will get the same answer. Let's use the distributive property. Subtract 3x from both sides, add 2 to both sides. Combine like terms. We're going to divide by 3, and so this is our solution. We need to graph this on a number line. This says that x is less than or equal. Anything less than is to the left. Since I have equals here, we include this fraction and we show that by using a bracket. And then our interval notation follows from this number line, parentheses, -infinity to 14/3, use a bracket. And so these are the 3 ways to represent the same solution.